Jerry Epperson is the founder and managing director of Mann, Armistead and Epperson. He was born in Virginia in 1948 and at age 2 was diagnosed with polio. Yet Jerry moved on to earning his Bachelor of Science degree in Commerce from the University of Virginia and an MBA from the College of William and Mary. Jerry is a chartered financial analyst and in 1971 became a furniture research analyst with Scott and Stringfellow in Richmond, Virginia. Jerry then joined Wheat First Securities, where he authored the Home Furnishings Research Compendium, a nationally distributed furniture industry data service, allowing him to begin analyzing furnishing trends, demographic research, and predictions. Jerry is known for his sense of humor, humble nature, generous spirit, and vast knowledge of the industry, all of which keep him in demand as a speaker, teacher, and columnist. He received the Distinguished Service Award from AFMA, the Pillar of Industry Award from IFRA, and was on Furniture Today's list of 25 who made a difference. He was inducted into the American Home Furnishings Hall of Fame in 2002. We'd like to ask Bruce Krinsky, Ari Greenwald, and Shmaya Krinsky, partners of Renegade Furniture, to come up and present the award to Jerry. Please join us in honoring Jerry Epperson.
Thank you, everyone. Just want to read the plaque and call Jerry on. It's a Decades of Excellence Award presented to Jerry Epperson in appreciation of your outstanding dedication to the furniture industry, Renegade Furniture Group, June 2019. Jerry.
I'm such a pain in the neck. You got it? Fantastic. Wow, it's dark in here. That's been said before. I'm going to be a stick in the mud. And the reason is I've had this wonderful opportunity today to listen and learn. And I am so old and so skeptical that when I hear all about this new technology, I think about last year when I read so much about the Oculus and how the Oculus was going to change our entire vision. So I went out and I bought an Oculus Plus, over $500. Oculus Plus doesn't work for people who have old eyes. I'm farsighted in one eye, nearsighted in the other eye, and even wearing glasses, I couldn't see the edges, I couldn't see the instructions. I asked my son if he wanted it. He said, hell no, it's too complex for him. Oh, thank you so very much. And then I heard about all this entertainment that's going into our stores. And I think that's wonderful. I think our stores are entertaining. We're going to have food. We're going to have other things there. And I'm sitting there saying, how do we keep out the homeless? And the beggars, we had a hell of a time just giving away cookies. So anyway, I'm kind of skeptical about a lot of this. My friend Terry just mentioned WeWork, which is taking over New York and a lot of locations. And I just read in one of the publications that WeWork is filing to go public. And in their most recent 12 months, they had revenues of $1.8 billion and losses of $1.9 billion. I got to tell you, a lot of that's going on these days, but I'm not particularly comfortable with it. So then there's the question about the internet. And I've heard a lot of people critical of the internet. And I like the internet. I think it's wonderful. I enjoy Amazon. I enjoy the internet generally. I think the internet has been extraordinarily good for our industry because it's given the exposure for a lot of our products to consumers who never could have seen them before. And I've also got a son who works for Amazon. So that's got a little something to do with it. So, and I just heard Michael talk about the small stores competing. And let me tell you what I'm telling my clients who are small stores. Don't try to do the same thing Ashley's doing, or for that matter, Value City or Rooms to Go. They're the best in the world at what they do. They're the best at buying. They've got the new secret to business today is who's got the best logistics. They've got the best logistics. You cannot out-Ashley Ashley. So if you go to High Point or any other market, there are eons of other showrooms. If you're a small retailer, go to small vendors. You'll be important to them, and you won't find what they have in other stores. It's really not that complex. Bring something to the market that the market doesn't already have 2 or 3 of. So I get excited about that. I'm going to run through a series of slides, and I'm going to have to drop part of my accent. I'm from a little town called Victoria, Virginia. Don't pretend you've ever been there. No one has. There's no reason to go there. There is no federal highway that goes in the county. We used to make textiles, furniture, tobacco, and we make none of that anymore. We have a glut of tattoo shops, and that's probably what the town's known for. That and our one stoplight. We're very proud of our one stoplight. If you go to Victoria, don't expect to dine. Aren't many restaurants in Victoria. When Masco first bought in the furniture industry, Mr. Manoogian took me around Masco's headquarters and showed me this magnificent collection of art. And I finally said, Mr. Manoogian, Victoria, Virginia didn't have many museums, and I don't have a clue what I'm looking at, but this is some of the most beautiful carving on these frames I've ever seen. So don't go to Victoria. If I have a monument there, it's going to be about this tall, made out of granite, and got my last name on the back of it. All right, now, let's see. I'm going to hit that particular button. That's not the right button. I'm going to hit that button. Yay. All right, I think our business is challenging enough without having all this mess among our elected officials. We need to start telling these elected officials to do something. I don't care which side you're on, just do something. It's ridiculous. And it's making a bigger challenge for all of us. We can do our business better if we don't have government shutdowns. They're very upsetting to the consumer. And guess what? We're about to have another government shutdown in September. It's coming. It's almost unavoidable. And the reason is nothing. Well, I must not be hitting the right button again. I'm sorry. I'll hit that button instead. Yay. We don't need a trade war with China. 25% tariffs. I think it's frightening. But let me tell you that when those trade wars broke up, it was the best bad news we could have. Everybody was expecting this thing to go smoothly, and there's no way it could. We're trying to get China to change the entire way they do business. We're asking them to change their culture. Donald Trump sent over a wish list in March of 2018 and actually expected them to believe in it and do it. We're going to end up with a much more reasonable and acceptable and long-term solution because both sides now know what the other side will and will not put up with. And that had to happen. And I honestly think we will have some sort of agreement by the end of this summer, if not before. We've got lots of competitors. Now, a lot of our competitors don't pay taxes. A lot of our competitors don't hire locally. A lot of our competitors are subsidized. Y'all have read about, see, I'm from the South, I can use y'all, I hope you don't mind. Y'all read about Virginia getting Amazon's second headquarters on the East Coast. We're real proud of that. We had to drop our pants substantially to get it. And so they're going to have a headquarters that's subsidized by the state of Virginia and the counties. But then again, we help IKEA build their stores. We help Costco build their stores. We help Amazon build their warehouses. So if you look at who you're competing with, remember a lot of them are subsidized by your government and your local officials. I don't think it's fair. We've had a long, substantial recovery. We just celebrated the 10th anniversary of our recovery. Yay! It's been very slow growth, in case you hadn't noticed, but it's been stable, and the reason it's lasted so long is it has been slow, and it has not been inflationary, or at least so far. Those tariffs are going to be inflationary. I think we have an even chance for a recession in the summer of 2020. And let me give you the logic behind that. I'm a part-time economist. An economist is someone who's not afraid to be wrong all the time. I'm a part-time economist. And let me tell you my logic. The United States had a recession in 1960. It had a recession in 1970. It had a recession in 1980. It had a recession in 1990. We had a recession, we were actually in 2000, and we were coming out of a recession, we were still in the recession in 2010. Do you sense a trend? But if you go back through history, in the 1970s we had 2 recessions. In the 1980s we had 2 recessions. In the 1990s we had 1 recession, and the rest of the decade was perfect, leading to 1999, which was the best year for our economy and the best year for the home furnishings industry. I'll get into a little bit more of why that was so. And then came the decade of 2000 to 2009, and we had not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 recessions in a 10-year period. Some of you remember that period, and it wasn't very pleasant. So now we're looking at 2020, and we may see a correction. And a lot of it is coming because we have all these unexpected happenings because of the trade situation. We also have the government shutdown. We also have a new debt ceiling issue that's coming up. And we have a Congress and a president who aren't willing to talk about anything except each other. So I think 2020 might see an opportunity for us to flush some of this out. Well, I thought I'd been through that one once. Okay. Sorry. Okay. But we have good news. Our consumer has recovered. Essentially, they've doubled their value since the last recession, thanks to home values, the stock market, other investments, business values. We've got corporate America spending the $2 trillion in cash that they had built up, but were scared to spend during the last decade. We've got more job openings than we have employed. Pardon me, that was planned as part of the speech. We've got employment that's looking good on the outside. At least some people are getting wage increases. We've got some people who are finally getting jobs in which they had training in when they went to school. Bank credit's changed, and we have more sources for consumer credit than ever. Unfortunately, a lot of our younger consumers are loaded up with collegiate debt. We had the GDP exceed 3%. Don't expect it again near time. And housing is going to do great. It's not doing great this year, but we've got new household formations coming. We don't have enough of the older homes out there that are coming on the market. We're building a lot of apartments, and still a lot of our young people, almost 30%, are still living at home or with a relative. They want a place to go to. That mobility has been lost to us this cycle. We will get it. We just didn't in this last cycle. Looking at the big picture, the last 40 years, our industry has served really one consumer, and that's the post-war baby boomer. I'm a very proud post-war baby boomer. I'm one of the senior post-war baby boomers. I was born in 1948. Yes, I know it was a particular good year. I had polio in 1950. And several people have mentioned I've overcome this stuff. Best thing ever happened to me. Okay? Absolutely the best thing that ever happened to me. None of my family had ever gone to college. I'd only had one relative that graduated high school. And the state of Virginia, because of the epidemic, paid for me to go to any state university tuition free. So I got my undergraduate degree at the University of Virginia. I went to graduate school at William and Mary, and really I should have stayed in school probably. But anyway, polio was great. It gave me an incentive to get out and do something because I couldn't work in the factories in my hometown like my past relatives had. And so for that, I'm eternally grateful. It also got me a wonderful wife, and this year we celebrate our 50th anniversary. And I think my mother-in-law is about to admit that maybe I was an okay guy. But what we're looking at today is fantastic, incredible. You can't put a big enough word on it because we've really got 3 generations that we can market to, and a 4th if you think about it. All these generations. And one of our big problems that we've had that I don't hear a lot of people talking to is this group called Generation X. Now let's talk about this for a minute. Most home furnishings, in fact most big ticket items, are bought by people between 35 and 54. Now 35 and 54, most people are in homes, they're in jobs, they're going to be for a while, they've had kids, so that helps create extra demand. It's a really important time. Now, the problem we have had is that the baby boomers and their influence peaked at year 2000. Remember I told you the best year we've ever had was 99? That's when we baby boomers were out there and had maximum influence and some money to make everything happen. Then, beginning right at 2000, Generation X came in. Generation X are nice people. Don't get me wrong, they're very, very nice people. I wouldn't mind one as a neighbor. They're very nice people. But there were 77 million baby boomers and 57 million Gen Xers. There were not enough of Generation X to fill the retail that had been created to sell to my generation. And so we've gone through the period from 2000 until about 2015 feeling like the economy was punk, feeling like we weren't making any progress, blaming everything in the world, but the truth is we just didn't have enough human beings in the key ages to buy our products. And that's why retail has collapsed, if you want to believe that. I don't. It's one of the reasons, if you add on top of what's going on at retail and there's fewer people, we had the internet develop over that period of time. So we had the existing retail that was built for the baby boomers plus the internet on top of that. No wonder it was a terrible period. No wonder in the first 10 years did we have 4 recessions in a 10-year period. But The good news is, just like the cavalry charging from the hill, we have the millennials. The millennials are the children of we baby boomers, thus they are well educated, extremely handsome, and well parented. These young people are taking over the economy. They started in 2016, and they're going to dominate our economy until 2034. And then they're going to kind of level out a little bit, and we're going to begin to see some of Generation Z. This period of time is going to have high numbers of household formations, big demand for housing that is not being met. We need a minimum of 1.2 million new homes built every year. We're not building them. These people are going to come along and create the big demand that's going to make all of us glad to be in our business. Now remember, all this just started with 2016, the good news, the group coming along. Now let's talk about we baby boomers. Okay, I'm in my 70s. I'm still working because I enjoy what I do and the people I get to work with. And to tell you the truth, thanks to Ari and his group, to be in a room full of furniture people, this is like my dying and going to heaven. I mean, it really, I feel a kinship with everybody in the room. If you go with me to the High Point Market, it's just a big reunion for me. Because I'm not only seeing friends of mine, I'm seeing their children, I'm seeing their grandchildren. We baby boomers really control the wealth in this nation. And it's not because we're particularly bright, although many of us are. It's not because we're particularly bright, but because we bought houses when they were cheap. Ladies and gentlemen, Kathy and I, our first house, we bought for $14,500 and it had a 5% mortgage. To tell you the truth, it was a dump. It's probably selling for $14,000 today. But at the time, that was our starter home. We have more second homes than any other generation. Our children have grown up and are leaving the home. I'm telling you, we are a great generation. We're shrinking because some of us aren't living forever. But I'm telling you, we control the wealth. I did that wrong, obviously. We've got the best incomes that we've ever had. I just did that one. We're about to pass on to our children over the next 20 years $30 trillion. $30 trillion. That's because we were the first generation to have IRAs and 401ks and other forced savings programs. We weren't smart enough to save all that money on our own. We were a tremendously entrepreneurial generation and started many of our most successful businesses. We have health insurance that's going to keep our savings from being decimated by the old age. The stock market, when I got out of graduate school and joined working for a brokerage house, was 416. Okay, right now it's somewhere in the range of 25,000 and change. Not all of that came because I became an investment advisor, okay? But a little teeny bit of it was. Look at real estate. My gosh, look at the values, not just in residential real estate, but in commercial real estate and the returns they've had. Now, what's the negative to this? We're living longer, so the kids aren't going to get it quite as early. But there are other ways they can get it. And forgive me, you've heard this story. My lovely daughter, extraordinary young lady, wanted to get married when she got out of college in 1998. And so she and her mother had been planning this for a long time. She was the only daughter on either side of the families. So she wanted a big wedding at the most expensive hotel at the nicest church in Richmond. We wanted to have the reception at the nicest hotel, which is the Epperson, being Virginia. And They came, my wife said one afternoon, just casually, the wedding's looking like it's going to be around $65,000. I'm going, whoopee. And I had already been warned, don't get cheap on me. She's the only daughter. This is a big deal. So I went to my daughter with what I thought was a great idea. I said, look, if you can have a $30,000 wedding, just half the amount, don't invite everybody you've ever met. Just invite maybe some people you've met more than once. And tell you what I'll do. I'm not going to make money on this. I will take the remainder and give you a down payment on your first home, because her mother and I had a terrible time saving for our first junky $14,000 house. And secondly, I'll give you a brand new car. The car she was driving was 4 years old. Can you imagine the shame? And so she got kind of excited. She went back, talked to her fiance, Matt, and came back just a few days later and said, Dad, we want the big wedding. It's not because of me. It's because of Mom, my grandmothers, everybody in my family's been planning this for all these years. And besides, you'll still give us the car and the down payment on the house. So see, the inheritance, I don't have to die to be passing money on to these people. This chart's extremely important. The black line is household income in America, and it peaks about 54, 55, and then incomes tend to tail off as more people retire. But look at the green line. The green line is wealth. And that real estate, those stock market investments, all those things that you have accumulated continue to grow and grow and grow. And as a result, that's where the baby boomers are controlling the wealth. It's what they bought a long time ago, but they still control. And it's that chunk of wealth that's going to flow through to our kids. Generation X, they've controlled the peak spending years really now for about 15 years. They can't support our retail base. They did not have computers, internet, when they were growing up, even in their schools. My generation grew up with a TV set. We didn't grow up with computers. We still hate computers. Despise computers, okay? I have two people in my office that sit sort of either side of me within yelling range, and I call on them numerous times during the day because I can't get my computer to do what it should do. And I call them and they come in. Every once in a while they kind of giggle and point at the old fat man and say, he doesn't know what he's doing. And I go, when I get as good on a computer as you are, I won't need you anymore. And after that, they're extremely helpful. Anyway, the Generation X didn't have the advantages that the millennials are going to have. Okay, I'm going to make this work. Millennials. Millennials are going to be the largest generation ever. They are the largest generation ever, well over 80 million people. But here's the exciting part, really what sets them aside. Women and minorities have had access to education and business opportunities almost to the level of white males. I wish I could say as much as. It's not a perfect world, but so much more than when I was coming through college or high school. You realize last year, 70% of the valedictorian speeches at high schools were given by women? Do you realize well over 60% of the college undergraduate degrees are being given to women? And for those of y'all who are not sharp with math, that means less than 40% are being given to men, okay? Women's incomes are growing. Not only are they catching up with what they should have been paid in the first place, they're moving into positions of greater responsibility. And their incomes are growing at double and triple the rate of white males. And in many cases, they've got access to some of their parents' money. This is an exciting generation. They're the future. I hope we're going to be able to involve them and have them understand the opportunities that exist in our business. Women, earning all these degrees, I try to tell my friends, you better get used to saying yes, ma'am. Kathy and I have been married 50 years this year. I've been saying yes, ma'am for a long time, but she does not make me salute when other people are around anymore. Well, if her sister's in the room, I still got to salute. The minorities. Look at the opportunities that are out there for minorities that have never been there before. This is fantastic. The highest incomes in America are the Asians. The fastest growing population in America are the Hispanics. Fastest income gains, African Americans. I had one slot left, and my assistant said, Mr. Epperson, what do you want to put in there? And I said, we'll think of another group. So he thought of the coldest are the Eskimos. Now think of your home. Smart homes, all the devices that are coming to make your home healthier and safer. Look at our products today. They're healthier, they're safer, they're more comfortable. We've got all the new electronics. My house has got 2 Alexas. Kathy loves hers and talks to her on a regular basis. I'm having a little bit of a spat with mine. Who's moving? Where's the mobility coming from? You got lots of kids moving around, a lot of young people getting their first homes. People like me are moving from our home of 31 years on the 4th golf hole at Salisbury Country Club into an 8th floor condo less than half the size. I thought, we got a big house, we're going to go to a condo half the size. I get rid of half the furniture, I move, I'm golden. You know how much of my furniture from my house fit in our condo? The same as that. First apartment, lots of people still moving to larger homes. The problem we have with our home builders is larger homes are still more profitable, so the builders continue to build these McMansions. Here's the problem. There are still 75 to 76 million baby boomers, and we're living in these big houses. And there are 57 million, and a little bit less right now, of Gen X. Who's going to buy all the homes that have been built for our generation? There aren't enough Gen X to do it. When we were growing up, if you bought a starter home and you had a baby and need another room, you could enclose the garage, you could enclose the carport. You can't take a McMansion and chop a couple of rooms off of it. It doesn't work that way. So we're going to have a housing problem because we're going to have nice neighborhoods with tremendous gluts of homes for sale because there aren't enough Generation Xers to buy them. Today, furniture's got more options. We've got more people to sell to. I think it's the most exciting age we've ever lived to. We've got the best logistics. We've got the best, less inventory required, more financing options than we've ever had. Our home today serves as a base to work, attend sports, take classes. I see my doctor if I don't feel like going to his office by way of my computer. All these things are happening with the house. Now, I'm just going to say a couple of words on the economy. I used to say I'd rather have a sister in the whorehouse than talk about the economy. But my sister asked me to please stop saying that, so I don't say that anymore. But incomes are going up, household formations are going up, the stock market, Lord knows what. Consumer wealth is climbing, credit availability has never been better. Consumer confidence is fudging a little bit right now because we don't know what's going to happen with trade. Mortgage rates are down safely, bankruptcies are way off, foreclosures are way off, jobless claims are way down, inflation's flat. Mortgage rates are back down to 4%. That's a great time to buy. We're underbuilding. We need so many more homes. And so my conclusion is we've got some really good times going forward. We got to get past political issues. We got to get past concern issues that I say. with who our competitors really are. I love the presentation about the small retailer, knowing your market, owning your market. There are some tremendous stores out there that make a tremendous amount of money selling. I've got a friend in Chicago who does nothing but he sells and attracts the Polish market, and he does very well. I've got two friends, in the Midwest who own eight bedding specialty stores. They carry 34 bedding SKUs in their stores. And both of them last year took home $500,000 each. We got to get Congress to move. We were seeing changes in our business. Remember a little while ago, we thought that Casper was going to take over the business. Now they're changing their model. In upholstery, we've got Joybird and others. Amazon's come up with all these new collections that are pretty exciting. The anti-dumping petition, by the way, on mattresses was targeted specifically at Amazon. I think we're in an exciting period. Globally, I think our business is going to continue to grow. The one thing I have to end with is that there are people out there who are looking at the tariffs and saying, since furniture is probably the next to largest of the consumer goods that come to us from China, we're getting confused and incredibly stupid people that are telling consumers, don't buy furniture while the tariffs are on, you'll pay 25% too much. 32.7% of our furniture comes from China. We can give you the exact numbers. But that's keeping people from our stores every day. We need to explain to people that not all of our furniture comes from China and tell them what percent doesn't. I think that that issue needs to be addressed and needs to be addressed very well. I can't thank the folks for having me here. I can't thank all of you for sitting here. And I like the darkness because you could do something constructive while I'm up here babbling. We put out a newsletter every month that's free. It's exactly what it's worth. If you will email our offices, we'll be happy to put you on the list. The headline in this month's issue is, "We are in a world of hurt," because the last 4 weeks have seen an industry collapse in sales that's really almost unprecedented. So we need to start getting this message out that not all our furniture comes from China, and other issues too. Feel free to call me anytime if you want. Everybody else does. And again, I'm flattered. Thank you for sharing this time with me. We don't have time for questions, but women, yes, I am married. Oh, wait, can I yell at you for a minute? My first High Point Market was 1987. Is there anybody here that went to a High Point Market before 1987? Okay, I want to narrow it down to one. Before 1965. Going to High Point Market. Anybody? Shoot. Okay. Again, I've just got a book to give away. I want to give it to somebody who's around long enough to understand the book. So that's what I'm trying to give this thing away. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the book. I'm going to lay it, right there. Whoever wants it is welcome to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jerry.